Welcome to the Positive Pants Podcast. Mindset, motivation, and inspiration to help you find your positive pants. It's time to let go of negative thinking, understand why you do what you do, and stop the self-sabotage with your host, Fran Excel.
Welcome to the show. As always, it's Fran Excel, your resident subconscious success mentor, helping you find your very own pair of positive pants so you can get out of your own way and live a life that you love. If you want to stop sabotaging your own success and let go of the stress, then you are in the right place, my friend. Make sure you download your free Stressed to Success guided meditation at bit.ly/stressed to success as my little gift to you for being here. Please do subscribe, share, review. It really, really helps people that need to hear this message find us, and I so appreciate it. In the show notes, you will also find details of how you can work with me and where you can get your mitts on my meditations, products, and printables. You can also find it through the link in my bio on Instagram, which is my second favorite place to hang out. So please do come join me over there at I'm Fran Excel. Tag me in your takeaways, slide into my DMs. I am here for it. So that is the formalities over, my love. So let's jump into the content. I'm excited about this episode today. I want to talk about reframing your mental well-being or mental health today. I kind of just want to change the conversation up a bit, if I'm honest. So last week in the UK was Mental Health Awareness Week, and I have a bit of a love, don't love relationship with these awareness days and weeks. I really, really love the fact that they start the conversation, they get people sharing their stories or struggles and start to normalize it. And that is great. But I kind of feel like it's a really big thing for people to actually talk about it in that week. You know, people struggle to put themselves out there in that week. It's a big stretch and it's uncomfortable and it's seen as like a big, brave, bold move, which it is, of course. So why do I see that as a potential issue? I see it as an issue because it shouldn't have to feel that way in the first place. It shouldn't have to feel like such a big thing to talk about this stuff. We should be able to talk about these things all the time. Not just in that week. People shouldn't have to feel any sort of shame, embarrassment, or anything like that, because the reality is, it is so normal. It's just not been normalized. It should feel normal to talk about this stuff as if you're talking about the weather. It shouldn't feel so hard. You know, I talk about things I've struggled with in the past to people as if it's as easy as breathing. Obviously, it wasn't always that way, but I talk about my struggle with eating disorders in the past, anxiety, the intense paranoia when it came to people feeling like people would abandon me that I struggled with through my teens and my 20s. I talk about my struggles with emotional eating. I talk about depression. I talk about the crazily low self-esteem I struggled with for most of my life. I'm here for it all. But we should all be able to do that. There's so much shame over mental health, in inverted commas, so much stigma around it. And I'm so pleased how much more mainstream it's becoming. But there's a really long way to go. And a huge reason that I'm able to do this is because I've done so much work on myself. This is my obsession, understanding how we tick and why we do what we do, right? Struggling with these very things is what has led me to right here, being in your earbuds and able to give really practical tools, tips, and strategies to help you to normalize it, to change the way you look at it, to change the way you think about it and feel about it, giving you a different perspective. Doing this work and having the qualifications that I now do, the biggest thing I've learned and want to pass on to you is how much we all make total sense. It may not feel like it at the time. It may not be ideal when you're stuck in a pattern, but you can stop beating yourself up for having it in the first place, to know that you make sense, that you aren't broken and you don't need fixing. It's just maladaptive responses that have had their place in your life at one point. They just don't serve you anymore. Yeah. So I want to try and reframe the conversation a little bit today. The way I see it is your mental health is just as important as your physical health. But here's the thing, everybody is on a spectrum here. Everybody. And I mean that. I'm yet to meet somebody who doesn't have any struggles. I mean, seriously. But we can see physical ailments often a lot more easily, right? There's the hidden struggles for sure. Like I've had osteoarthritis in my knee since my 20s. And I used to get so frustrated because people would assume that I was being lazy when I didn't want to walk places. And the first thing I'd do in a bar would be to try and find somewhere to sit. Right. But anyway, that's by the by. The point is, often we see if we haven't been looking after ourselves physically. We can see if we have a broken bone or a cut. Yeah. Mental health issues are harder to spot sometimes. Even that, inverted commas, mental health issues, it sounds wrong to me. I feel like mental well-being is more accurate in my opinion, but our mental well-being is a spectrum, just like our physical well-being is, right? So let's normalize this stuff. Everyone has their stuff in one way or another. I know this because I know how we're wired as humans, and I know enough people who do what I do or do similar things to what I do, and I've had enough clients to know this. We all have ego. We've all had our little t traumas as kids, and throughout our lives have led to nervous system dysregulation, which affects how we show up as adults, right? In one degree or another. Some a lot smaller than others, some a lot bigger than others, right? We all have our own individual foibles. Some of us are more aware of them than others, but so many of us try and hide them because someone somewhere has told us we shouldn't have them. Whether it's a parent, a sibling, the mean kid at school, or something you've picked up from society, that stigma is there. That idea that it's something wrong with you. But really, the biggest issue in my eyes is the people just don't have the information they need to be able to understand themselves. Yeah. Instead of teaching me Pythagoras theorem, teach me about regulating my emotions, please. So we deal with these things quietly, beating ourselves up behind the scenes, hiding. The negative self-talk is super loud. The self-doubt, the procrastination, the overwhelm, the stress, the anxiety, depression, and other not so fun forms of emotional dysregulation. We only really get the information when we start to seek it. Usually when the problem's got pretty big. And probably part of the reason why you're listening to me now, right? Trying to find another way because you know life isn't meant to be such a struggle. But it's so accepted and normal to do things to look after our physical health. We can follow a program, hire a personal trainer, go on YouTube and follow along. We know we don't have the information, find it and follow it. So why isn't it the same for our minds? The relief that I see on someone's face when I'm open and honest about something and they go, me too. And there's zero judgment. Or the other way around, where they kind of sheepishly tell me something as if they're giving me confession. And I say, me too. Being able to visibly see someone's shoulders drop in that moment, breathe out, where they can just be 100% themselves and have this sense of relief. It's absolutely magical. It's a gift for me to be able to give to other people. And I'm so grateful for it. But it wasn't an easy journey for me. It was a long one, because I identified as the strong one, the capable one, the one that could juggle a million things at once. At work, at least I identified that way, big time. But the people closest to me, who had known me from when I was younger, knew I was an emotional wreck most of the time. It kind of felt like I was living this double life internally and externally. But the more honest I am about things, the more I aim to understand myself and other people, the more myself I become. This is why I'm always talking about peeling the onion, right? So many layers to us. And I want that for you because I know how possible it is. But the thing that's important here when I'm talking about emotional and mental health being just as important as physical health, is there's something that needs to be highlighted. And it's a really easy parallel to make. There is no destination to get to, right? There is no moment when you go, yay, I'm fixed. And that's it. We all know this, right? Any diet, you have your end goal. But as soon as you start eating the way you were before, the weight comes back on. Any gym or exercise regime, when you stop training, you lose muscle mass. It's the same for your mind. This is lifelong. This is constant improvement, but in the best kind of way. It's about a lifestyle change. Yeah. And it's so simple, but simple doesn't always mean easy. Yeah. Sustainable weight is the same, right? We all know eat less, move more. That sounds super easy, but when we try the instant gratification route of cutting things out of our diet or going all in on the gym, but in an unsustainable way, we all know what happens, right? It's not sustainable. And it's the same with your mental well-being. Softly, softly catch your monkey. Gently does it. When you try to go from 0 to 160 seconds flat, it causes more issues than it solves often. Your nervous system is not going to like it. Your ego is not going to like it. Your brain is not going to like it. Unfamiliar equals unsafe. Doing things differently equals unsafe to your brain and your body. You've got to remember its primary function is to keep you alive. Alive means familiar. It doesn't distinguish between good, bad, right, or wrong. So let's realize how normal it is to have struggles. But let's also realize it doesn't have to be that way. It's about figuring out what works for you and committing to it. I've been loving teaching this stuff in the SOS program. Like, people have been understanding themselves and why they do what they do or don't do on a really deep level. Like, they're making so much sense to themselves. Like, going, oh my goodness, I see why this happens. I see why I do this. And I keep saying, do not beat up that previous version of you who didn't have this information. The brave thing is starting the journey, knowing it's not about this one final destination. Yeah. So let's start talking. Let's start to understand why that we're not on our own. And let's change the narrative and seek the knowledge and the answers that we just don't have yet. That's what it's about. So if you got value from this and you know in your gut that now is the time to step up and start rewiring your thinking and start changing things for yourself, then book in a free discovery call so we can work out what needs to happen to get you from where you're at right now to the action-taking success you know you can be. If you want my eyes and ears on your problems, then I work with people one-on-one and through my programs. You can find all the details to book in a call in the show notes, the link in my bio on Instagram and on my website, franexcel.com. So stop waiting for if and when and choose to change things now, because you 100% can. I am here to believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. And as always, I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you next week. Bye.